The metal door slammed shut behind him as the last survivor climbed out of the subway stairwell. For a moment, no one spoke. Fresh air filled their lungs. After hours trapped in the underground tunnels, the open sky above them felt almost unreal. Anna stepped forward first, scanning the street carefully. Tall buildings surrounded them on both sides, their windows dark and broken like empty eyes watching from above. Rusted cars sat abandoned along the road, many of them covered in dust and creeping vines. But what stood out the most was the silence. No growls, no dragging footsteps, no distant moans of the undead. Nothing. Mark slowly lowered his rifle. This place is too quiet. Jenna looked down the long avenue stretching between the ruined buildings. Normally the streets of the fallen city were crawling with the infected. Even the quieter areas still carried the distant sound of wandering corpses. But here, there was nothing. Tim rubbed the back of his neck uneasily. I don't like it. Anna walked slowly into the middle of the street. The sunlight was weak, filtered through a gray sky heavy with dust and smoke. This district might have been cleared, she said. By who? Mark asked. Anna didn't answer, because that question had only two possible answers. Either someone had driven the dead away, or something had scared them. And both possibilities were dangerous. Behind them, the subway entrance stood like a dark mouth in the ground. Whatever lived beneath the city was still down there. Anna looked forward again. Let's move. The survivors began walking deeper into the silent district. But none of them realized yet. They were not alone. They moved carefully through the empty streets, weapons ready, eyes constantly scanning the buildings. After 20 minutes of walking, Jenna stopped suddenly. Wait. She crouched near the sidewalk. What is it? Mark asked quietly. Jenna pointed to the dusty ground. Footprints. Fresh ones. Anna stepped closer. The prints were clear in the thin layer of dust covering the pavement. Boot prints. At least 3 or 4 people had walked through here recently. Tim's voice dropped to a whisper. Those aren't zombie tracks. Anna nodded. No. She followed the trail with her eyes. The footprints led toward a narrow side street between 2 tall apartment buildings. Mark tightened his grip on his rifle. So we're not alone after all. The discovery sent a ripple of tension through the group. Other survivors could mean help. But in the new world, survivors could also mean trouble. Anna stood slowly. Stay alert. They followed the footprints carefully. The narrow street led into a small courtyard surrounded by abandoned apartment blocks. More signs appeared. A barricaded doorway. Boards nailed across windows. Empty food cans stacked neatly beside a wall. Someone had been living here recently. Then they heard something. A faint metallic sound from above. Everyone looked up, but the rooftops were empty. Or at least, they looked empty. High above the courtyard, hidden behind a broken balcony railing, 2 figures watched the strangers below. 7 of them, one whispered. The man beside him lifted a pair of binoculars. They're armed. His voice was calm but tense. Military. The first man asked. The second shook his head. Survivors. Below them, Anna's group continued examining the courtyard. The watchers studied them closely. The woman leading the group. The tall man with the rifle. The younger boy nervously looking over his shoulder. The watchers exchanged a glance. They found the tunnels, the first man said. Looks like it. The second man lowered his binoculars. What do we do? The answer came quickly. Get the others. Below them, Anna felt something she couldn't explain. A sudden sense of being watched. She slowly turned in a slow circle. The courtyard looked empty, but the feeling wouldn't go away. We should leave, she said quietly. Mark frowned. Why? Anna's eyes scanned the windows of the surrounding buildings. I think we just walked into someone else's territory. They were halfway across the courtyard when the voice came. Don't move. Every survivor froze instantly. The voice echoed from somewhere above. Weapons appeared from the shadows of several balconies. Rifles. Crossbows. At least 5 of them. Mark slowly raised his hand slightly. We're not looking for trouble. Anna kept her eyes on the balconies. Neither are we, she called calmly. For a few seconds, nobody moved. Then a man stepped onto one of the balconies. He was tall, wearing a long coat and carrying an old hunting rifle. His beard was thick, his eyes sharp. Who are you? Anna answered without hesitation. Survivors. The man studied them. Everyone says that. Behind him, more armed figures appeared. The courtyard was surrounded. Jenna whispered under her breath. This is bad. The man on the balcony spoke again. You came out of the subway tunnels. Anna nodded. Yes. That means you came from Haven. Mark's eyes narrowed. How do you know about Haven? The man gave a small smile. Because we've been watching it. The survivors exchanged uneasy looks. Watching it. For how long? And why? The man on the balcony finally lowered his rifle. Relax, he said. We're not your enemies. One by one, the other weapons lowered as well. But the tension didn't disappear. Come upstairs, the man said. We should talk somewhere safer. Anna hesitated. Trust was rare in the apocalypse. But standing in the open courtyard was worse. All right, she said. A door opened on the ground floor of the apartment building. 2 armed guards waited inside. Anna's group slowly entered. The building interior looked surprisingly organized. Barricades blocked the windows. Candles lit the hallways. Food supplies were stacked along the walls. This place wasn't just a shelter. It was a base. The bearded man from the balcony soon joined them downstairs. Up close, he looked older than Anna had expected. Maybe early 40s. But his eyes carried the weight of someone who had survived far too much. I'm Victor, he said. Anna introduced the group. When she finished, Victor nodded. Welcome to the Silent District. Mark frowned. Why is it called that? Victor's expression darkened. Because nothing survives here for long. He pointed toward the streets outside. The zombies avoid this area. Tim blinked. Avoid it. Victor nodded slowly. Yes. Anna felt a cold chill run through her. Why? Victor looked at them carefully. Because something worse lives nearby. The room Victor led them into had once been a small apartment living room. Now it served as a command center. Maps were pinned to the walls. Handwritten notes marked streets and buildings. Candles flickered on an old wooden table where several other survivors were gathered. They looked up as Anna's group entered. Suspicious eyes studied the newcomers. Victor leaned against the table and folded his arms. You want to know why this district is silent, he said. Mark nodded. Yeah. Because right now it feels like we walked into a ghost town. Victor gave a humorless smile. That's not far from the truth. He pointed at the map. This area used to be one of the busiest parts of the city. Offices, apartments, shops. Thousands of people. Anna studied the map carefully. So what happened? Victor hesitated. His voice dropped slightly. Something changed. Jenna frowned. Changed how? Victor tapped the map again. At first the zombies flooded the streets like everywhere else. But then, he paused. They started disappearing. Tim blinked. Disappearing. Victor nodded slowly. They stopped coming here. Anna crossed her arms. That doesn't make sense. Exactly, Victor replied. The room fell silent. Then Victor continued. The first time we realized something was wrong was when one of our scouts saw something dragging a zombie into an alley. Mark stiffened slightly. Dragging it. Victor nodded. Something fast. Too fast. Anna felt a cold feeling creep up her spine. What was it? Victor looked directly at her. We don't know. Night fell slowly over the silent district. The survivors gathered on the rooftop of the apartment building. From there, the ruined city stretched endlessly into the darkness. Fires burned far away on the horizon. But here, the streets remained empty. Anna stood near the edge of the roof, scanning the streets below. Mark joined her. You trust these people? He asked quietly. Anna thought for a moment. Not yet. Mark nodded. Good. Below them, Victor's group was preparing barricades. Extra guards were posted. Lights were dimmed. Everyone seemed tense. Jenna noticed it too. They're scared, she whispered. Of what? Tim asked. Before anyone could answer, a sound echoed through the silent streets. A distant metallic crash. Everyone froze. Then another sound. Scraping. Dragging. Something moving in the darkness. The rooftop guards immediately raised their rifles. Anna leaned forward, trying to see down the street. The fog made it hard to see. But then, movement. A shape darted across the road. Too fast to identify. Mark whispered. You saw that? Anna nodded slowly. Yes. The shape disappeared into a narrow alley. For several seconds, the district returned to silence. Then somewhere far away, a zombie screamed. But the scream ended suddenly. As if something had cut it off. Deep in the darkness between the buildings, something moved. It moved differently than the zombies. Quiet, fast, purposeful. The creature crouched beside the torn body of the infected. Its head tilted slightly, listening. Above, on the rooftops, the survivors were watching. The creature could hear them. Smell them. New prey had arrived in the district. Stronger prey. Smarter prey. The creature slowly pulled the corpse into the shadows. Its movements were almost silent. Only the faint sound of claws scraping against concrete could be heard. Then it disappeared completely. Back on the rooftop, Anna felt the same uneasy sensation again. The feeling of being watched. Of being studied. Mark checked the street with his scope. I don't see anything. Anna kept staring into the darkness. It's there. What is? Tim asked nervously. Anna answered quietly. The thing Victor was talking about. Later that night, Victor joined Anna on the rooftop. He handed her a small pair of binoculars. You'll need these. Anna accepted them. Thanks. They watched the dark streets together. Finally Anna asked the question that had been bothering her. Why stay here? Victor looked surprised. What do you mean? If something is hunting in this district, why not leave? Victor looked out over the city. Because outside this district, he pointed toward the distant streets, there are thousands of zombies. Anna understood immediately. The creature might be dangerous, but the zombie hordes were worse. So the monster keeps the zombies away, she said. Exactly, Victor replied. And we survive in the middle. Anna lowered the binoculars. That's a risky balance. Victor gave a grim smile. Welcome to the apocalypse. Suddenly one of the guards shouted. Movement. Everyone rushed to the rooftop edge. Down in the street, a lone zombie shuffled slowly through the fog. It stumbled forward blindly. Then something hit it from the darkness. Fast, violent. The zombie was pulled into the alley before it could even scream. The street became silent again. Nobody spoke for several seconds. Finally Tim whispered, "What the hell was that?" Victor answered quietly, "That was the reason this district is empty." Morning came slowly. Gray light filled the ruined city. Anna sat at the table studying Victor's maps again. Mark stood beside her. "If that thing hunts zombies," he said, "then eventually it's going to hunt us too." Anna nodded. "Maybe." Victor shook his head. "It hasn't attacked us yet." "Not yet," Mark repeated. Jenna pointed at the map. "What about this area?" Victor leaned closer. "That's the old hospital district." Anna's eyes focused on it. "Is it clear?" Victor hesitated. "No one from our group has gone there." "Why?" Victor pointed at the map again. "That's where the creature was first seen." The room became quiet. Tim sighed. "So the monster's house." Anna straightened. "Then that's where we go." Everyone stared at her. Mark raised an eyebrow. "You're serious?" Anna nodded. "If we want to survive in this city, we need to know what we're dealing with." Victor slowly smiled. "You're either very brave, or very crazy." Anna checked the magazine of her rifle. "Maybe both." The group left the apartment building shortly after sunrise. The silent district looked different in daylight. Less frightening, but somehow even more unsettling. The empty streets stretched between tall buildings like forgotten canyons of concrete. Broken traffic lights swayed slowly in the wind. Rusted cars lined the sidewalks. And still, no zombies. Anna walked in front with Victor beside her. Behind them followed Mark, Jenna, Tim, and 4 members of Victor's group. Everyone moved quietly, weapons ready, eyes constantly scanning the windows above. "Hospital is 4 blocks ahead," Victor said quietly. Anna nodded. "Any other sightings there?" "Only once," Victor replied. Mark looked up from his rifle scope. "And?" Victor's voice lowered. "Our scout didn't come back." That was all he said. The group continued walking. As they reached the next intersection, Anna stopped suddenly. "What is it?" Mark asked. Anna pointed at the pavement. Deep scratch marks cut across the asphalt. Long, sharp, like something with claws had dragged itself across the road. Tim swallowed hard. "That thing is big." Victor nodded. "Bigger than a zombie." Anna slowly lifted her eyes toward the hospital building at the end of the street. The structure rose above the surrounding buildings like a massive shadow. Several floors had collapsed. The entrance doors hung broken from their hinges. Dark windows stared down like empty eye sockets. Anna took a slow breath. "All right." She raised her rifle. "Let's meet our neighbor." The hospital entrance creaked as they pushed the doors open. The smell hit him immediately. Rot, old blood, dust. Broken hospital beds were scattered across the reception hall. Papers covered the floor like fallen snow. Anna's boots crunched softly as she stepped forward. Flashlights clicked on one by one. Their beams cut through the darkness. "Clear so far," Mark whispered. But nobody relaxed. Hospitals were dangerous places even before the apocalypse. Now they were death traps. They moved deeper into the building. The hallway walls were stained dark with old blood. Doors hung open. Medical equipment lay abandoned everywhere. Jenna shined her flashlight into one room. Empty beds. Broken windows. Nothing moving. Then Tim stopped. "Wait." Everyone turned. "What?" Anna asked quietly. Tim pointed down the hallway. At first, Anna didn't see it. Then her stomach tightened. More scratch marks. But these were deeper. And they climbed the wall. As if something had climbed up the side of the hallway like an animal. Mark whispered, "Okay, that's not normal." Anna kept her voice steady. "Stay close." They continued forward. Then they heard it, a faint sound echoing from the upper floors. Scraping. Moving. Something was awake in the hospital. They reached the stairwell slowly. The sound above them grew louder. Scraping. Dragging. Breathing. Anna raised her hand, signaling everyone to stop. The group held their breath. Then something moved across the upper floor railing. A shadow. Fast. Too fast. Mark lifted his rifle instantly. Contact. The creature appeared at the end of the hallway. For a moment, nobody fired. Shock froze them in place. It was tall, thin, but horribly twisted. Its limbs were longer than a human's, bent at unnatural angles. Gray skin stretched tight across its bones. Its eyes glowed faintly in the darkness. And its mouth opened far too wide. The creature stared at them. Studying. Calculating. Then it screamed. The sound echoed through the hospital like metal tearing apart. "Fire!" Mark shouted. Gunshots exploded through the hallway. Bullets slammed into the walls. The creature moved. Not like a zombie. Not slow. Not clumsy. It leaped onto the wall and ran along it like a spider. Within seconds it vanished into the upper floor darkness. Silence returned. Everyone stood frozen. Tim was shaking. "What was that?" Victor answered quietly. "That's the thing that hunts the zombies." The silence lasted only seconds. Then the creature screamed again. This time closer. The lights above flickered violently. Anna turned toward the stairwell. "It's coming back." Mark reloaded his rifle. "Good." But the creature didn't attack from the front. It dropped from the ceiling behind them. A blur of gray flesh and claws. One of Victor's men didn't even have time to scream before the creature slammed into him. The impact threw him across the hallway. Chaos erupted. Gunfire filled the hospital. The creature moved through the room like lightning. Bullets hit it several times, but it kept moving. Fast. Aggressive. Anna fired 2 shots that struck its shoulder. The creature shrieked and leaped backward onto the wall. Mark shouted, "Fall back." The group retreated toward the entrance hallway. The creature followed them from the shadows above. Not attacking. Watching. Hunting. They burst out of the hospital doors and into the street. Sunlight flooded the area. For a moment everything went quiet. Anna slowly turned back toward the entrance. The creature stood in the doorway, half in the light, half in the shadows, its glowing eyes locked onto them. Then it stepped backward into the darkness again, and disappeared. No one spoke for several minutes as they walked back toward the apartment base. The tension in the group was heavy. One of Victor's men was gone, and now they knew what they were dealing with. Back at the building, Anna sat at the table staring at the map again. Mark leaned against the wall. "Well," he said, "now we know why the zombies stay away." Victor nodded slowly. "That thing hunts them." Jenna looked pale. "But it also hunts us." Tim rubbed his face nervously. "So what do we do?" Anna looked up. Her voice was calm. "We adapt." Everyone looked at her. "That creature has a territory," she continued. "If we understand how it hunts, we can survive it." Mark crossed his arms. "And if there are more of them?" Anna didn't answer immediately, because she had been thinking about the hospital, about the scratches, about the sounds, about the size of the territory. Finally she said quietly, "Then this city is a lot more dangerous than we thought." Outside the building, the silent district remained quiet. No zombies walked the streets. No infected wandered through the alleys. But deep inside the ruined hospital, something moved in the darkness. And it was still hungry.